One of the ways to test your code is to actually view it in a browser. Of course, there's also validation and just reading through your code, but being able to view it in a web browser, like the rest of the world will, is a great way to get an indication whether you're on the right track. You may remember in the left-hand column we had seen files that we connected, or some people may say imported. On the left column there's other options as well. There's Explorer, where we normally see our files, and we'll come back to that in a moment. There's a search button. There's an icon for source control, an icon for running your code, and one for extensions. And we'll talk about a couple of those in this video, but for now we're going to look back up at Explorer, and we can extend or collapse our file structure. I can select any of these HTML codes and I can view it in a code view right here and make adjustments. But again, sometimes I want to see in the browser. So I'm going to go ahead with this file open, hit run, and then start debugging. It's going to ask what exactly do I want to do, and I'm going to say that I want to see this in Chrome. So I'll click on this, and now if I pull over the Chrome browser, I can see what this looks like. I have body mass index calculator. So I'm going to close this a minute and just show you a little bit about how that will work. We have this H1 tag right here. This is body mass index calculator, and I'm just going to change that to BMI calculator, and we made that change here. Then I'm going to go back up to run, and I see it again with the change this time. So that's pretty handy to be able to quickly see the result without having to open a browser and then do a Control-O to actually open the file and bring it up. This automatically connects the file you're working with the web browser. Now that's one way to do it, but you may want some even quicker feedback. And we can do that through extensions. And you probably have heard of extensions or plugins. They are essentially little bits of code, sometimes very complex pieces of code, that helps extend or increase the capacity of a software program. So the software program, again, that we're using for editing is VS Code, and we want to make it do a little more than it does out of the box. You may remember just a moment ago on the left-hand side of the screen, I was talking about these icons, and there was one called extensions. And extensions, again, will extend or increase the capacity of your software. It's kind of like an app store. And in this case, an app store for VS Code, just like an app store for your iPhone or your Android. And we want to search for something called Live Preview. And because I've searched for it previously, it's coming up in my results. And this is the extension we want to install or use. I'm going to go ahead and hit install. And at this point, it's actually running. Some extensions need some additional confirmation and configuration, but it should be running at this point. So let's go back to our code. And we're going to look at the BMI calculator again. And we're seeing the code as we did earlier. So you may say, what is the difference? Well, up in the upper right corner, there is a new icon called Show Preview, and watch what happens when I click that. Now I see the rendering of the site, the rendering of your code, as it exists right next to the code I'm creating. So if I go back to what I was working on and change BMI to Body Mass Index, you can see that as I was typing in the code, it showed up in the preview. So you can see live exactly what you're doing. Let's just take a look at how this would work in other parts of the code. You notice we have a button down at the bottom here, and the button has the value of calculate. And if we actually change that to figure it out, as I'm typing, it changed that button on the right hand side so you could see it live. These are two handy tools to be able to check the visual aspects, how the user is actually seeing and how they may interface with your work very quickly from the VS Code software. The next step we'll take is we'll actually connect to the public server so that I and others can see what you've produced. We'll talk about that in the next video.